Hola, muy buenos días a todos. Un gran placer estar con ustedes nuevamente. El día de hoy tenemos una invitada de súper lujo. Está con nosotros Liz Gehringer. Liz es la presidenta, la Chief Operating Officer de Coldwell Banker en Estados Unidos y una de las mujeres más reconocidas dentro de la industria inmobiliaria. Liz, welcome.
Thank you so much, Philip.
It's a great pleasure to have you with us today.
It's so great to be with you. You're such a force, and I'm so excited to spend this time with you.
Well, we have just started doing this new podcasts. We've had a couple in English and about half a dozen in Spanish. And people seem to really like them. They like the guests that we have. They like the interaction that we create with them. And I'm sure our session will be highly recognized by people.
Well, I hope that we can bring some subjects of interest.
Great. Tell me a little bit, Liz, about your function today in Coldwell Banker. What's your responsibility? What do you do? What's your day-to-day, more or less, like?
Well, I, as the Chief Operating Officer of Coldwell Banker, have very broad responsibilities. So we have at this point well over 100,000 agents across the globe as part of Coldwell Banker. And my job is really to make sure that we're delivering Coldwell Banker to the agents. So making sure that we have the right tools in place and the right brand in place. And we have everything that they need to bring the brand really out to the customer base. And that can mean a lot of different things. So it's everything from delivering events, delivering this great sense of community, and pulling people together across the network. So I do that in a variety of ways. And I spend a lot of time too with the companies. So where the agents hang their licenses, I spend a lot of time with the companies, making sure that they are set up to really best service their agents around the globe. It's a wonderful position because I am thrilled. I just love Coldwell Banker so much. I love what the brand stands for. And so it's really easy to align myself with this brand because I think everywhere you go in every community, Coldwell Banker will stand for things like professional people and trust, and has a certain consistency about it throughout the world. And that's, and thanks to you too, for how you show up in the marketplace. So it's a great job because I get to be affiliated with all these amazing people from Coldwell Banker.
Great. Our industry is an industry dominated by women, but yet only about 20% of the top level positions are occupied by women. I know that you're a big proponent of being more inclusive, of creating opportunities, and about helping enhance the role of women in leadership positions. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's a super interesting challenge, right? It's an industry that, as you noted, does have so many women in it. And I think the women are in a good place, meaning that they're with the customers. You know, if you look at, well, where are the women? Where are these 80%? So many of the women are agents affiliated with Coldwell Banker. And so they're out with the customers every day. I think it's a really great place for women to be. I think women have a wonderful sense of empathy and understanding of needs. So it's a great place. Women can connect with families, for example, and understand what that family needs in a home, what community will be best for that family, you know, in which to thrive. So I think it's great to have so many women because I think women are naturals in this business where they can really do that incredible customer interaction. But as you said, we don't have as many women in leadership inside the operations of businesses. And I think some of that probably grew up because the career of real estate in the field as an agent, when you're in that customer space, is often more flexible. It is often a position where you can easily be a mom or have another, even a secondary job in some instances and fit in this agent lifestyle, where if you take a position inside of a company like mine, it's very much a very full-time position, right? You definitely need to have systems and people in place to help you run with the rest of your life and really help you keep the rest together. So I think that flexibility piece is some of what drives it, but also it's just, I think we could make an effort at it to put women in more positions where they can see what these company roles are like. I think you have to sort of bring people along and introduce them to other opportunities for their career paths. And certainly something that we try to help people focus on. We have a program specifically about women's careers in real estate to try to introduce these different career paths that are open in the business. There's certainly plenty. There is no reason we couldn't have more women in the leadership positions inside of the real estate companies.
Do you have any idea what percentage of the offices are led by women?
That is a great question. And I don't know. I have definitely experienced both. And I'm not even sure that I would, give a quick gut feel on that. I've seen leadership, I've seen branch leadership, office leadership, both by men and women, and very successfully, both by men and women. I think that maybe this is an exaggeration, but I definitely see a lot of when women are leading the offices, I do see emphasis on bringing people together. Some of these events that are focused on like the team coming together a little bit. How can we support each other and that kind of thing? I think women enjoy that, but that's not to say that women don't also enjoy things maybe sometimes we think of more traditionally masculine, like the performance, the contest, the driving for a goal. I mean, when you look at our top performers in our company, they are women and men, but definitely the women are right there as well, achieving incredible numbers of homes sold at incredible prices in top markets. So I think that no matter who the leadership style is, or if it's a man or a woman leading, you can't overgeneralize like what people are looking for. Men and women alike, I think, are looking for that sense of belonging in an office, and we're all salespeople, so that I think people still want that thing that's driving us to be recognized for performance. I mean, maybe women can be more understated or feel less comfortable being recognized as a top performer, but I think women share that drive and passion to keep achieving and want to be acknowledged for that, as much as men do, even if it's a little bit different or the approach could be a little bit different.
Great. Why is it important to support leadership development, particularly amongst women interested in taking the helm?
I think it's important because I think men and women do bring different perspectives to a problem. I think often a variety of people will just bring different problem-solving approaches. They're like different ingredients in a great recipe. And I think that's true across men and women, people of different ethnicities, different religions. Anytime you can get a diverse set of viewpoints in a business that faces customers, like we face a diverse group of customers. So we should put ourselves in the best position to understand a diverse group of customers. And it's not to say that we can't understand diversity ourselves, or that we can't, look across all the different aisles and figure it out, but to come from that very authentic place where we really represent the customers well, like a mirror, I think it can really add perspective. And then I think they're just different skill sets. I think women can often bring a different perspective to like a management issue, trying to figure out what a person's needs are in a certain situation. So I think that the diversity can just lead to the best team in any circumstance. If we are left to our own devices, many of us tend to hire ourselves. If we're not careful, we will end up with an entire team of ourselves. Women will do that too. So that's not good either. I mean, what we really need is the multiple skills. That's going to unleash the best business results.
That's what usually happens. When you make a good mix, that will bring out the best outcome in what
Absolutely.
We're trying to achieve. And I've always been so honored to lead an organization where you hear all these stories about success and about people going forward and about resilience and about overcoming difficult situations sometimes. And the greatest honor is to see how many women that when we first started were not in a leadership position have gradually grown into those positions and have taken control of companies and are working hard to create something really special. What do you think are the biggest challenges that women face as they move into these leadership positions?
Well, it's interesting. I think I think it can feel a little bit like, aren't we tired of this part of the conversation? The part of the conversation that's about, well, obviously the childcare piece. But I think it's still true. I think women still do face a lot of the responsibility in the home. I think that things have completely evolved in that regard. And I think men and women in many homes share the responsibilities. But I think traditionally women do carry more of that load, whether it's organizing it or maybe some additional work around the home or certain aspects of the parenting. And so that is one real challenge. I was a lawyer before I moved into this business role for many years, for 20 years. And the legal profession faces the exact same problem. Women get into the profession and they can start into their early careers, but they often don't have the time to do what it takes to be a partner in a law firm, because that requires you to sell. That requires you to go get a client. That requires you to go out to dinner and go out to lunch and join clubs and join boards, which takes up your entire evening. So you could be the best lawyer during the day, but if you can't give your night also or your weekend, and that's sometimes very hard if you're running a household, it can be really difficult. You can't really get to that partner level where you need to sell. And so I think there's just that, like the reality of time for women, it can elude them, that next step. I would say as I've gone through the leadership changes that I have, it's definitely an all-consuming position. And it's, it definitely includes nights and weekends, but I love what I do. And, it's definitely good for me, but it requires a lot of pure time. At some level, that's just real. If some of your job is sales, like our positions where we're in this business, our customers expect us every day of the week, you have to be willing to do that. So I think, some of those are just real concerns that hold women back. I think an interesting one is that there is just I think there is some genuine discrimination that comes. It's soft and people don't even realize they're doing it, but they may have been raised to think like the man is going to be more capable or more available and that kind of thing. And I think women even judge other women that way. So I think women even hold women back. I think that's super interesting. It's just not what you would expect, but I think there's just a natural societal tendency to be thinking that the male is more available, maybe not so much harder working. I think women have a good reputation for working very hard, but there just is some of that. We have to sort of shake off the things maybe we were raised with, or that just everything about culture makes us believe. We have to shake that off a bit and holds us back.
Great. What can we do as companies to encourage greater gender balance and to help everyone move forward?
I think it's a great question, and you do have to do it. I think you have to make that choice that you really are going to do something about it. So I mentioned briefly, we have this program called What Moves Her, for example. So we bring people together under this banner of What Moves Her, and we have events, and we have a group of people that come together, men and women. We love for the men in the company to come and listen and support us and partake in the conversations, but they are conversations about career. So we're very specifically talking about career development, how to put yourself out there, what we're showcasing opportunities that may be available. So I think taking real, an actual programmatic step where you're holding yourself accountable to do something monthly, for example, to have these serious conversations. And then I think it's just giving people stretch assignments. We're having tremendous success with that. So we're taking our talented people. We identify who we think are our most talented people in the company with the most potential for growth. And we are giving them stretch assignments in areas. It could generally outside of their usual set of work, so that they're introduced to other people or other types of decisions that they wouldn't usually have to make. I was just this morning asked to join an assignment that has to do with our facilities, our real estate, our property across the globe, and how are we utilizing those best across the company. Well, that's not something I've worked on before in that way. So it's like, that's an example of myself having a stretch in a new direction. And it's wonderful. You're getting people to meet new people across the company, learn a new area, and build confidence in a different skill set. So when you go into a deal, for example, if you're expanding, pulling a woman onto the team, even if it's not the logical person. So I think you can pull people sideways into things instead of this idea that we're always trying to bring someone up into the next position. It's hard. If you don't have women in business operations, it's going to be very hard for them to get to be the CEO. So you really have to pull people in. And we've seen that. It's like, many countries ask themselves, and particularly in the United States, we ask ourselves a lot, why don't we have women on boards? Why aren't more women on boards running public companies, the board of directors? And the answer really often is that there aren't women in business operations. So for example, I had been a lawyer for 20 years, but you won't find a lot of lawyers on boards. You really need to have business experience to be on a board. So it's that same thing, like you can't, if you have to get people in the line. I think we need to pull women into business operations so that they can rise up through leadership. And women tend toward the same careers. They tend toward legal careers. They tend toward careers in human resources. They tend toward recruiting roles. They find themselves very good at those jobs, but they're of certain types of jobs, and they tend to be what we call shared services, the services rather than the pure business roles. And so I think it's really important to pull people into the business roles. That's what I have done over the last few years running operations. And it is a mind expander to be able to move from one silo to another silo inside of a company. I think that could be true of any career anywhere. So if you're in the agent space, working on some of the problems at the company level, I think can really be mind opening, and also then in turn, help you teach the company what you need in the field.
I love that kind of movement. It doesn't always have to be up or down. It can be sideways. I find those new opportunities so exciting, the opportunity to work with different people, to collaborate, to learn something that maybe wasn't in your career path, but it all of a sudden becomes part of your career path.
And it can spark creativity. I mean, I think the more you go outside of your norm, it can create so much new and interesting interaction and ideas that may seem a little bit out of the left field, but I think it could be good for everybody on the team to hear from a completely unexpected voice.
I think that rounds up the organization. When you have people in finance having an idea about sales, and people in marketing having an idea of operations, that makes people grow so much. That means really understanding how things move around the company, and that's of huge value, I think.
It's a great way to develop talent. At the same time, it's fantastic for the business.
Right. Well, moving up or down is always hard. And we always need somebody to be there to help us, to stretch out a helping hand. What do you think about all these new concepts of mentoring, of coaching, all of this?
We have a great new mentoring program that we just started about a year ago, and it's interesting how many different variations there have been about mentoring over time. I just participated in this program, and it was very structured. I would say before this, I tended to be a more casual mentor. Someone would ask me to be a mentor, or I would look for mentoring, but not really label it. And I find that for me, I really enjoy people, and I'm very direct. So for me, lunch for 1 hour with someone in which, we're having a very sincere, very direct conversation about career, people, what they're trying to do, that works for me. I'm a pretty quick study of people, and I do not mind at all saying how I think, they could come along, or who I could connect them to, and that kind of thing. At the opposite end of the spectrum, a very structured program was really interesting to me, because we had specific assignments where you had to identify what you wanted from the relationship. Was it contacts? Was it more, business information if you were in an IT role? Or were you looking to have a specific assignment, say, and sample work in someone else's area? So it was good. The amount of discipline was very good in terms of my mentee and I. It was a longer coaching period. That can be not good if it's not the right match. We were a very good match in personality, but I think the best mentoring is when you do have a good, sort of chemistry, or you do have a good personal connection with the person, and you can be very open and tell them how you think you could bring them along. I think mentoring inside of a company is something a company like ours feels we have to have a mentoring program. And I think we do, because especially in this virtual environment, you could lose people if you're not paying attention to your talented people. So mentoring is a great way to bring along talented people. But I think, and I say to everyone that I mentor, it's so important to have a mentor outside of your business. it should be someone who's not doing your performance review. It should be someone who's not competing with you. Like there's so much awkwardness that could exist in a company. So make sure you're speaking with someone who you aspire to be, or who has something to offer you outside of your work, because I think that's actually the biggest downfall or trap for people, is they're not looking outside for ideas, and they're not connecting to their industry. That we can't talk to each other. I've worked at this company in a variety of roles for almost 20 years. It's for 17 years. Like if I were just talking to this company, I wouldn't be growing. I wouldn't be going through these other roles. I've always made sure to connect to industry groups, to trade groups, to my prior mentors, socially, to my community involvement, being, on a town council, those kinds of things. I think it is incredibly important to index yourself for personal growth to people outside of your business and even outside of your industry.
Wow, so interesting, so true. I think sometimes we become cycled by the real estate industry, but there are so many opportunities of learning outside of the industry, of bringing new ideas into the real estate industry.
Right, and people don't necessarily think it naturally, right? I mean, for us, there's so many other types of sales organizations. There's so many other types of hospitality organizations. There's so many other tech aspects to what we do. There's so much that we can learn from other businesses. And a lot of that's easy now I think you can get a lot of it through podcasts and reading, and there are a lot of resources, but I still think the one-on-one connections that you can make with people in a mentoring relationship, or, even just a connection relationship. Maybe there's like a word missing. I think people get a little bit mentoring, like they have to look for someone senior who has, 10 great ideas. It doesn't have to be that. It could just be, they have something to add to your way of thinking.
Well, I have been with Coldwell Banker for the better part of 20 years. And I'm always inspired about the success stories that I see of women climbing the ranks. And you have in your organization somebody that I admire so much, Tanya Brew.
Amazing.
I've met her so many years ago, and I love seeing how she has become a national speaker, a national presence for the company, and pushing women forward. And I think she is a tremendous asset for the company.
She is a tremendous leader. She is now our Chief Human Resources Officer, which is enormous. What an incredibly large responsibility at a company of our size. And she has always led, whether quietly or by designation, she's always led our efforts in diversity, equity, and inclusion. She's incredible. And she focuses on diversity, not just for the sake of a program. She really believes in the value that diversity can bring to our people from a talent perspective, but also the business goals. Tanya gets how important it is to business success to focus on these areas, but she's also just so incredibly genuine, right? I mean, you meet her and she really, truly cares. She makes that personal connection. She's all in. So yes, it's been wonderful watching her career. She's a great inspiration.
Yes, she is. How do you identify opportunities for leadership roles of women in real estate?
We actually have a pretty rigorous process, discipline. I think if you don't have a disciplined process, you could miss it. But we have a very disciplined business where we rate people and we identify their talents inside of a certain system. We call it a 9-box, but we identify where their talents lie in terms of their capabilities in their current role and their long-term growth capabilities. So we have a sharp eye on our talent, and we identify who is ready for growth. And that we do that annually, but we have to check in with people throughout the year. It's discipline. We've got a system where we, fill it out throughout the year. I think that brings really good focus, but it's also two-way in that our employees also write to us and do sort of a self-report of their performance every year. So you first actually you set the goals together, and then the employees self-reports on their performance, and then you give feedback on that performance. That's their individual performance, but then the leadership team is stepping back from all of that and looking across the whole company at all the people in the company, and with a strong eye on the development of our talented people and doing those stretch assignments that we talked about. So, I think companies used to just think about, is this person ready for a promotion? And that would be it. And it's now so much more about the stretch. And that is what people want. We've really seen people enjoy these interactions with other groups and enjoy this diversity of projects. It's really stimulating a lot better thinking inside of our company.
Right. Oof. So while I'm talking to you, I'm getting all these ideas and all these things that we could implement down here in Mexico. Because we are, I don't know if more than in the United States or equal or less, but we are definitely a company that's led by the talents of strong women moving forward and pushing the company forward. We just came back over the weekend. We have had our affiliate meeting where we bring in our affiliates just to share and to learn for a couple of days. And always the room is dominated by women. So I find that so exciting and invigorating.
I think that's great. And I think that I find women tend to come without fear of, I don't know if reprisal is the right word, but women come, I don't think women hold themselves back, when they're in those kinds of things. Like they get excited about the idea and they really want to participate. And so they're there without concern about, oh, what will this do to my job? Or I don't know, I find like women just go all in. They're like really wanting to fix the thing, or adjust the thing, or, tweak it, or whatever they can, grow it. I think that's the spirit with which I see many women come to the table. And it's exciting. And it's just exciting to have a room full of different types of people for that creativity spark that we talked about.
Well, what we said, when you mix all the ingredients together, that's when the best results come out.
Absolutely.
What advice would you give to women that are considering moving into a leadership role?
I tell women to, definitely be their voice. Like this may be hard to hear for people at first, but it's like, it is on you. So many people, I think, or too many people wait or think that disappointed people think that no one's ever asking me, no one's ever promoting me, no one's ever stepping me up. And it's like, well, your career is in your hands. That's what I try to tell people. Your career is for a large part in your hands. You have to do really well and work really hard and also make it known. You need to make it known. You need to pursue those conversations, the 15-minute coffees, learn what somebody else does. Don't be constrained by the weird org chart, thinking like, oh, I only talk to the people that I've lines to. No, get to know everybody and go out. Like it's in your hands to grow and develop, and not to think just about yourself and your career. But the more you focus on everybody else's career, your career will come naturally. I don't remember a moment in my career where I thought, what am I trying to do or where am I trying to go? I've been open when I thought I did, I've said, for example, to our CEO, when he came into place, like the thing I was doing before this, I said, I know how to do this now. I could keep doing this for you and I could keep doing it well, like no problem. I can keep hitting this thing out of the park. But like, to be honest, I have to sort of fire up my engines to do it because I'm not that fired up about it anymore. So I just want to let you know, maybe I should do something else because this piece is like someone else could do this. I could get someone else to do this. But so it's great. I just said it. I wasn't like threatening to leave or, anything or looking for something. I was just being honest about sort of, okay, should I like re-spark my energy? It's January 1, and weird to realize I was at that place because I'm sort of a naturally excited about the things, diving in person. So I say, you have to speak up. It's on you to take an assessment of your career and see what else you want to be doing and, be talking openly about it. Don't wait until you're frustrated. Don't just leave, and don't expect someone to come and tell you. People are busy, and the higher up you go, I think, the higher up people go and the more talented are you, really need to be focused on them and make sure you keep them, because at some point they have so much knowledge and can be so helpful to you. But, at the same time, people can't be expected to be constantly keeping an eye on you. Like, I think careers should begin a little bit with yourself.
Wow. So interesting. Well, Liz, it has been really great talking to you. I really appreciate the time that you have made for us from your busy schedule. How are you spending the holidays?
Well, with family, which I'm really excited about we're heading to Chicago this year, which is not where we're from, but we're heading to Chicago to meet up all of the family in Chicago for a bit of a change this year. And I'm so excited to see everybody. I got to see some relatives in New York City this past weekend. So I'm going to fill up on people. I set a resolution for myself that between now and the end of the year, every day, I would make a connection with a good friend. So I'm also spending between now and the end of the year. And I did that the last couple of days, just having a good long talk with a friend so that by the time I get to the end of the year, I'll feel reconnected with everybody. I think we all need a little bit of that.
Wow. How are your travel plans looking?
Pretty good. I've got a few trips still this year. I'll be heading out to LA to see some of our top luxury agents, and same with South Beach and Miami, and still room for a couple of more visits. So I would love to come visit you maybe next year, if that would work for you.
We would love to have you down here. It's
Awesome.
always exciting having people from the corporate office down here talking to our affiliates. I think it creates a huge sense of belonging on both sides of the relationship. Our affiliates love having people from the corporate office talk to them and tell them what's happening in the world, how are things moving in the US. And we would love to have you down here.
Well, we appreciate you so much. I would love to come down and see everybody and share that appreciation. You are so good to talk with. You're always so energizing for me personally. So I've really enjoyed getting a chance to talk with you today.
Well, it's been great, Liz. Thank you very much. Have a very happy Thanksgiving with your family.
Thank you.
Say hello to everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll talk with you soon.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.